Hey everyone! Today we talk about a huge piece of news in the chip world that feels like a geopolitical thriller involving the Netherlands, China, and the entire global supply chain. It's a story about a high-stakes standoff that seems to be ending, but the way it's ending tells us everything about who really holds the power. I'm talking about Nexperia, a Dutch-based powerhouse in the kind of essential everyday chips that go into cars and appliances, not the super advanced stuff you hear about from Taiwan. The central conflict here is a classic showdown between political posturing and cold, hard economic reality. Just a short while ago, the Dutch government, in a move to align with American pressure, essentially seized control of Nexperia, which is owned by the Chinese firm Wingtech. They invoked a new national security law, the VIFO Act, to justify it. On September 30th, they dropped the hammer with a ministerial order, effectively cutting off a vital supply of these crucial components to the rest of the world. It was a bold move, a line in the sand. But I was just reading a report from Reuters this morning, and it seems that line in the sand just got washed away by a tidal wave of industrial panic. Because now the Netherlands is signaling a massive retreat. They're prepared to suspend that order if Nexperia just resumes shipping its products in the coming days. This is a stunning climb down, but if you've been watching the space, it was also completely predictable. Now here's the bold claim. The part that smells a little like a conspiracy, but is grounded in how these games are played. The West is lying about its intentions. Listen very carefully to the language being used. I was looking at the actual post on X from the Dutch Minister of Economic Affairs, Vincent Keulemans. He put out this very carefully worded diplomatic statement saying, and I'm quoting him here, "Given the constructive nature of our talks with the Chinese authorities, the Netherlands trusts that the supply of chips from China to Europe and the rest of the world will reach Nexperia's customers over the coming days." But look at the keyword everyone in the media, from Bloomberg to the Financial Times, is reporting on. Suspend. The Dutch are offering to suspend their decision. They are not offering to reverse it or revoke it or cancel it. And that difference is everything. Suspending an order is like hitting the pause button on a threat. It means you can press play again the second it's convenient for you. This isn't a peace treaty. It's a tactical maneuver to get what they need right now, and they're keeping the gun loaded for later. To understand why this is happening so fast, you have to look deeper into the nuance of European industry. Who was banging on the door of the Dutch government? You can bet the German auto industry's powerful lobby, the VDA, was at the front of that line, screaming bloody murder. Imagine you're the CEO of Volkswagen or BMW. Your entire assembly line for the latest electric SUV depends on dozens of these specific power-regulating chips from Nexperia, for everything from the battery management system to the anti-lock brakes and the dashboard that tells you your speed. When that supply chain gets cut, it's not a question of if your multi-billion euro factory will stop, it's a question of when. Europe, and Germany in particular, simply does not have the pain threshold to endure this kind of self-inflicted wound. They blinked, and they blinked hard. And the optics of this, as Politico pointed out, are just terrible, especially coming just a week after the United States cut its own quiet deal with China regarding Nexperia. The Dutch are left looking like they followed their big brother into a fight and then got left to take the fall alone. This whole episode reveals the fundamental power dynamics at play. The casual lawlessness of the U.S. and Dutch behavior, just deciding to seize a private company under a vague security law, will not be forgotten. It sends a chilling message. Imagine you're an investor from anywhere outside the West. Why would you build a factory or transfer technology to a place where the government can just take it away with a press release? On the other side, you have China, which is not just some small country, it's the world's factory with the economic scale and the political spine to absorb the blow and wait. They didn't panic. They let the consequences of the West's actions play out, knowing that idle assembly lines in Bavaria would be a more powerful argument than any diplomat could ever make. And it worked. The reversal, or suspension, is proof that these sanctions are a scourge that ultimately harms the countries that wield them. But this brings me to my final thought. A word of caution that echoes what I'm seeing everywhere online. I was scrolling through the comments on that same Reuters article, and one guy summed it up perfectly. He wrote, quote, China is fortunate to have the scale and spine to resist. I pray that China does not take the bait and stay far, far away and let Europe suffer and die. Now, that sounds incredibly harsh, but you have to understand the deep-seated distrust that creates a comment like that. The fear is that this is all a trap. The West is just trying to stabilize the patient to get the chips flowing again so they can perform a more radical surgery later. The concern is that China takes the suspension as a good faith gesture, resumes business as usual, and then gets burned again down the road. So the real question isn't just about whether the chips will start shipping next week. The real question is whether you can ever trust a partner who has shown they're willing to change the rules of the game at a moment's notice, and who only seems to back down when their own house starts to burn.